everybody, Clint and Lacey, we're back. Just when we thought we were done talking about comic book movies, they pulled us back into talking about comic book movies because the big news today is that DC has announced their official slate of films all the way up to 2020. 5 years and change from this date, we know what movies we're going to be watching.
I am so psyched. I love Marvel, I love DC, I love comic books. I'm so excited. They're finally taking the bull by the horns. Yeah, obviously a little late.
Right.
Yeah, obviously like it's Marvel's like, wow, that's what we did like 5 years ago. But still, this is a really exciting list, and overall I'm super, super psyched.
No, I will say that Marvel still owes us some titles to attach to their dates. Like
yes.
So DC is ahead of the game. Kind of. They announced this, the CEO of Warner Brothers announced it on a conference call to their investors or something like that. It wasn't an announcement, because it's not like there was New York Comic Con or something that just finished where they could have made a big splash with this announcement and done something really fun for all us fans. That's just me being bitter. We can move past that. To the actual titles that we're going to get to see.
Yeah,
what are we going to get to see?
Okay, so first off, of course, we have Dawn of Justice. We already know that's coming out.
2016.
You know, we know we have Batman, Superman, Aquaman's going to show up. Of course, Wonder Woman's going to be in that. Cyborg's going to show up.
Flash
it's going to be a big deal.
Movie. Green Lantern's getting a reboot in 2020.
Yeah, well, should we just go down the list?
Let's go down the list, Dave.
So first off, like I said, Dawn of Justice, we know that already. Next off, Suicide Squad.
Right.
Directed by David Ayer.
They're talking about doing a gritty Suicide Squad, and they got a gritty film director to do it. I mean, this dude did End of Watch.
I know.
I'm kind of pulling for a supervillain movie to be like handheld on shitty, like really like bad film stock. You know, like
I hope he like recreates that scene he did in Harsh Times where Christian Bale like just like injects like clean urine up through his urethra in a car seat.
I don't hope for that. No. Why do we need that?
It was a painful scene.
But Suicide Squad is coming now. Who's going to be a member of the Suicide Squad? Of course, there's been hundreds of them over the years.
Yeah.
There's some names getting thrown around that don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, it's weird because there's a pretty decent Suicide Squad on Arrow right now. You know, Deadshot is, of course, one of the guys. Bronze Tiger. And, you know, the names they've been talking about right now would be like Deadshot is the lead. They're also talking about Captain Boomerang. They're also talking about Vixen. And then there's a lot of people like Multiplex and Blockbuster that I don't even know who they are.
We don't care about that. Just give us Harley Quinn.
That's the thing. That's the most egregious thing. Everyone wants Harley Quinn. You need to do Harley Quinn. She's the most exciting part of the Suicide Squad. I mean, I would be fine with a Harley Quinn movie, but she has to be part of it. I don't think you can make a Suicide Squad without her because she's like the Hulk or the Thor of that group. She's the crazy one. She's the one that's magnetic and exciting, and people love her.
The only thing that I will say about a Harley Quinn, just throwing her into this cinematic universe, is Harley Quinn's relationship to the Joker.
Yes.
If that's not established in this universe, I don't know that Harley Quinn works as well.
Maybe.
Or maybe she just doesn't have a relationship to the Joker in this instance, and that's kind of lame.
She could be a herald to the Joker, though. Maybe she knew the Joker. They could change it slightly with the Arkham Asylum thing. Maybe she's coming first, and then we're going to get the Joker later.
You know, I mean, I guess the thing is, like, the Harley Quinn that would have run around with Jack Nicholson's Joker is very different from the Harley Quinn that would have run around with Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important distinction to make. But
it's going to be so hard for whoever finally takes the Joker because then they got to change up what they're going to do. And I wonder if they're going to do like the face cut off Joker. The Joker that cut his face off and then strapped it to his face.
Nuts.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. All right, well then next up we have Wonder Woman.
2017.
Now, this is exciting because it seems like DC is going to beat Marvel to the punch of at least having, you know, a female-led superhero movie.
They made the female superhero thing official. The one thing I will say about Wonder Woman is I feel like Gal Gadot has the most ground to cover in terms of like a good casting choice, like turning out to be a good casting choice. I think Batfleck is going to be fine.
Yeah.
I think Batfleck's going to be good. Eisenberg, you know, at least that's an interesting choice. It's going to be something fun to watch there. I think Henry Cavill is a good Superman and a good Clark Kent.
Hell yeah.
But Gal Gadot, I'm like, that's the only one that I just don't know about yet, and so we'll see. Like, she could turn out to be great.
We'll have to see. We haven't seen her in a leading role. I always liked her in the Fast and Furious movies, and there's something really interesting and exotic about her, so I'm excited, and, you know, I think it could be really great. Yeah. But I also think it depends on the director. They don't know the director yet, and so that's going to have a lot to do with it. All right, next up is going to be Justice League!
Part 1.
done. Of course, Zack Snyder is the DC man. He's going to be directing it. And we're already getting like an early Justice League with Dawn of Justice. So, of course, this is going to have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Aquaman.
And they keep making a real big point to include Amy Adams in the casting right now. Which I'm like, I don't care.
She kind of adds prestige, though, doesn't she? People love Amy Adams. And also Lois Lane is so iconic. You need to have Lois Lane.
But the other interesting thing is that it's Justice League Part 1.
Yes.
They're splitting it up. There's going to be a Justice League Part 1 and a Justice League Part 2.
Yeah, I think this is really cool. I mean, come on, the Justice League, it's going to be awesome. I mean, it is going to be interesting. I mean, listen, they're doing what Marvel has done. It's obvious that's what they're doing.
Well, they're doing a reverse Marvel. They're doing They're doing the team up front, and then they're spinning off into the solo movies, which I honestly think that's a good choice because at this stage, like, you're so far behind the game with replicating the Marvel format. And then just playing catch up a little bit, like just doing it in reverse, like, yeah, what the hell? I think it's an interesting choice.
I also think they need to introduce, Gal Gadot with all these other people. I think they do need to introduce some of these actors that, some people, for instance, Ray Fisher, who's playing Cyborg, which is coming later, he's a stage actor.
Right.
He hasn't even really been in any movies anyone's seen.
His IMDb page has Dawn of Justice and a short film.
Exactly.
And that's it. Because he's been on stage forever.
Exactly. So I think this is the best way to do it. So I think Justice League is going to be amazing. I can't wait to see, is Brainiac's got to be the villain in one of them. Is it going to be Dawn of Justice or is it going to be Justice League? What's going to happen?
I bet he gets teased in Dawn of Justice and comes back as the villain in Justice League. Brainiac will be the post-credit scene of Dawn of Justice. Yeah. Like one of those kind of situations, I think.
And who knows, maybe we'll get Doomsday. It's going to be exciting. That's the best news. Is they have, I honestly love... I think the bad guys of the DC universe are better than the bad guys of the Marvel universe.
A lot of times, yeah.
I think that, I think the heroes are sometimes a little boring, but the villains, especially Batman has the best rogues gallery in the history. I mean, of course, it launched a television show without Batman.
Yeah.
Purely based on how cool his villains are. And so that's the best news, is there going to be a lot of really great villains.
Right.
So next up is actually really exciting, and I think maybe the most shocking, and that's a Flash movie.
Yeah.
Now, this is going to come after Justice League, and of course, they just had a huge hit with The Flash coming out on the CW, starring Grant Gustin.
It's doing pretty well so far.
It was actually the highest premiere ever for the CW.
Yeah. Early returns are, everybody seems to like it.
Yeah, it's great. And I think that this is really interesting because, they're obviously keeping it separate because they've hired Ezra Miller to play the Flash.
Right.
Now, Ezra Miller is a really good actor. He was the lead in We Need to Talk About Kevin. And he was in
that movie was nuts.
Yeah, but he's always who I wanted to play Light if they ever did a Death Note movie, or L, or anyone. He's a really good actor, and I'm actually surprised he hasn't blown up bigger yet because he's just really evocative and interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of really good young actors to choose from that are all sort of taking their turns at getting their shot to do. So as we might all get to know Ezra Miller really well between now and then.
This is all really interesting too, because you remember when they had Smallville, they had the whole thing where no flights, no tights. He was never going to be Superman during this, and so it wasn't a conflict with Superman Returns, because that's what really would have ruined Superman Returns. Anyway, let's not get onto that. That's a whole other show. But what's interesting though, they're going to have to fight this with the Flash, because you're going to have a TV Flash in costume as Flash, and also have Ezra Miller as Flash in a movie. Right. So that's going to be interesting to see how they weigh that, and also if they have like Captain Cold or Captain Boomerang or Groot. But
it also establishes a thing where they're not worried about keeping those universes separately and doing. So if there's a villain that's been dealt with on TV, they can still deal with that villain on on the big screen.
And a few others we missed: Aquaman, starring Jason Momoa.
His own movie.
That's going to be amazing, especially with Jeff Johns on it. Jeff Johns loves Aquaman, and he really and they've made him pretty badass. And Zack Snyder likes Aquaman, so I'm sure that'll be really cool. Yeah.
Cyborg, also,
which is going to be
so all of these movies we sort of knew were going to happen.
Yeah.
We knew that the plan was going to be first the Justice League team up movies, then we spin them off into the solo thing. So, but seeing the actual dates attached to it and seeing in which order they come in is kind of some says some interesting things about DC's plan.
Yes.
Over the next rest of this decade. Out of all of these, Suicide Squad feels like it should be its own standalone movie. The rest of them need to work together. I totally get that. Suicide Squad feels like it's off on its own, and maybe it's one of these things where they do a Suicide Squad movie. It's not really, it's only tangentially sort of connected to the rest of the universe. And if it's successful, great, they incorporate it, they do more, and if it's not,
well, I think they need to also add Deathstroke and Harley Quinn for sure if they do Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Actually, one quick one. We didn't mention Shazam.
Shazam. Well,
Yes.
we knew Shazam was going to happen. The
Yeah.
Rock is going to be Black Adam.
Exactly.
Which, that's a choice.
I like it. It's gonna be cool. He's an anti-hero now. It's
I
cool.
would rather see The Rock being an 11-year-old boy.
Yeah, well,
you know, that's what I would rather
Wouldn't
see.
we all? Yeah, let's remake Big with The Rock.
As a superhero.
As a superhero. Oh,
as soon as you said that, right? Doesn't that sound great?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Give us money, whoever owns Big. Can I just say one thing real quick?
Sure.
I think a lot of us were hoping for Justice League Dark. Because, Guillermo del Toro is always talking about how he wants to do that.
For a long time.
And that would have bring, John Constantine, Swamp Thing, Deadman, Zatanna, all great characters. So I'm a little sad that wasn't on there, but, never say never.
But again, and the other thing is that there are supposedly going to be standalone Superman and a standalone Batman movie that's going to happen between now and 2020 as well.
Yeah.
So apparently this is a very ambitious slate, and apparently it's not even a complete slate.
Yeah.
So maybe there is a Justice League Dark that Del Toro can go and do, although he's going to be busy over the next little while doing, another Pacific Rim
and yeah. But, Zack
sketching
Snyder...
really spooky eyeball and hands monsters, whatever Guillermo del Toro does.
Strain, exactly.
Yeah.
But, Zack Snyder can't direct all these movies, right?
No.
So,
God, I hope not. So that's what Warner Brothers is up to for the next, for literally the rest of this decade. Let us know what you think about all that. Which one of these movies are you most excited about, and what does it mean? What does it all mean? Think about it way too much. Go!